The sensors of the Galactic Sentinel station buzzed as a small, unknown vessel entered their detection range. Captain Varg glanced at the screens, puzzled by the readings. The ship was unlike anything in the station's database, small, sleek, and almost ethereal in its design. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself," Captain Varys ordered, his voice steady. "Failure to comply will result in immediate action." Seconds ticked by, the silence weighing heavily on the command deck. The vessel didn't respond, nor did it alter its course. Instead, it continued its approach, moving with a grace that seemed almost unnatural. "Fire a warning shot," Varys commanded. A pulse of energy shot from the station, streaking towards the mysterious ship. But before the shot could connect, the vessel vanished, reappearing almost instantaneously right in front of the station's main viewport. It was close enough for Varys to make out the intricate, almost artistic details etched into its hull, lines that seemed to pulse with a faint, otherworldly light. The crew froze, staring at the strange ship. A single piercing blue light at its center scanned the station, moving methodically from one end to the other. "Captain, it's scanning us," Lieutenant Kale whispered, his voice laced with fear. "Get us a lock on that ship, now." Varys barked, but the sensors were struggling to keep up. The vessel's movements defied all known laws of physics, appearing and disappearing in quick bursts as it continued to study the station. Suddenly, the station's alarms blared. A powerful energy surge was detected from the vessel, aimed directly at the station. "Brace for impact," Varys yelled. But before anyone could react, the station was engulfed in a brilliant flash of light. For a moment, everything was white, blinding, searing light that seemed to pierce through the very soul of every crew member. And then, just as quickly as it came, it was gone. The station systems flickered back to life. The crew, dazed and disoriented, slowly regained their senses. Varys checked the screens, expecting to see the station in ruins, but to his astonishment, everything was intact. Not a single piece of equipment was out of place, but the energy readings were off the charts. "Captain," Kale said, his voice shaking, "the vessel, it's gone. And so is our entire defense grid." Varys stared at the readings in disbelief. Every weapon, every shield, every defensive measure they had in place was simply gone, erased as if it had never existed. But the station itself was untouched, floating silently in the void. "What kind of power are we dealing with here?" Varys muttered to himself. Before he could contemplate further, the station's long-range sensors detected a massive fleet approaching, the Galactic Union's primary defense fleet, summoned by the station's distress signal. Thousands of ships, armed to the teeth, ready to take on any threat. As the fleet approached, the mysterious vessel reappeared, this time at the edge of the fleet's formation. It blinked in and out of reality, darting between ships with impossible speed, scanning each one with its piercing blue light. The fleet opened fire, unleashing a torrent of energy that could have decimated entire star systems. But the vessel remained unharmed, weaving through the barrage effortlessly, its movements almost playful. Then, without warning, it unleashed a wave of energy that rippled through the fleet. Ships lost power, weapon systems shut down, and in the blink of an eye, the entire fleet was rendered defenseless. On board the fleet's flagship, Admiral Soren watched in horror as his ships were disabled one by one. He had faced countless enemies in his time, but nothing like this. This wasn't a battle, it was a demonstration of absolute, undeniable power. The mysterious vessel hovered in front of the flagship, its blue light shining directly into the bridge. Admiral Soren felt a chill run down his spine as the ship seemed to peer into his very being. And then, in a flash, it was gone. The fleet systems slowly came back online, but the damage was done. The mysterious vessel had disappeared into the void, leaving the fleet and the station in stunned silence. Admiral Soren, his voice barely a whisper, gave the only order he could: send a message to the Council. "We need to reconsider everything." As the message was sent, Soren stared out into space, the vast emptiness now feeling more ominous than ever before. Whatever that vessel was, it was far beyond anything they had ever encountered. And somewhere out there, it was watching, waiting, and they had no idea when, or if, it would return. 2 weeks passed since the encounter with the mysterious vessel, yet the echoes of that day lingered in the minds of the Galactic Union's top officials. In the High Council chamber on the capital world of Eyes, the most powerful leaders in the galaxy convened to discuss the incident. The room was filled with tension, the weight of the unknown pressing heavily on each delegate. Admiral Soren stood before the council, recounting the events in painstaking detail. Every eye was fixed on him, every ear straining to catch every word. But when he finished, silence filled the chamber. "You're telling us that this vessel, whatever it is, disabled an entire fleet without firing a single shot?" one of the counselors asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. "Yes, Counselor," Soren replied, his tone grim. "It didn't just disable our fleet, it rendered us completely helpless. Our most advanced weapons, our strongest defenses, none of it mattered. It was as if the vessel was toying with us." Murmurs filled the chamber as the counselors exchanged anxious glances. This was not just a threat to their military might, it was a challenge to their very understanding of the universe. "We cannot afford to ignore this," said Counselor Rena, a seasoned diplomat with a reputation for her sharp mind. "If this vessel returns, and it's clear it can at any time, we need to be prepared." "But prepared for what?" another counselor interjected. "We don't even know what we're dealing with. Is it an enemy? A scout for some larger force? Or is it something beyond our comprehension?" "That's precisely why we need answers," Rena replied, her voice firm. "We need to find out where it came from, who or what created it, and what its intentions are." The room fell silent once more as the weight of her words settled over them. The stakes had never been higher. Adal, the president of the Galactic Union, a stern and resolute figure, finally spoke. "What are our options? Can we defend ourselves against something like this?" Soren hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Our current technology is ineffective. We need to explore alternative approaches, unconventional methods of defense and communication. I recommend we form a specialized task force, comprised of our best minds across all fields, military, scientific, and diplomatic. Their sole mission will be to study this vessel and devise a strategy to counter it should it return." The president nodded. "You have my authorization to proceed, Admiral. This task force will have the full resources of the Galactic Union at its disposal." As the meeting adjourned, Soren felt a mix of relief and trepidation. The task ahead was daunting, but it was clear that they had no other choice. Whatever this vessel was, it had already shown that it could bring the entire galaxy to its knees. Weeks later, deep in the heart of the galaxy, a team of elite scientists and military strategists gathered at the Union's most advanced research facility. Among them was Dr. Lena Voss, a leading expert in quantum physics and theoretical engineering. She had been selected to lead the scientific division of the task force. Dr. Voss stood before a massive holographic display of the mysterious vessel, studying its intricate design. The more she examined it, the more baffled she became. The vessel seemed to operate on principles that defied all known physics, its ability to phase in and out of reality, manipulate gravity, and emit energy pulses far beyond anything the Union had ever encountered. "This ship, it's like nothing we've ever seen," she said to her team. "It's not just advanced, it's on a completely different level of existence. We need to think outside the box if we're going to understand it." Her team nodded in agreement, already working on various theories and experiments to unlock the vessel's secrets. They would need to push the boundaries of their knowledge, exploring ideas that had previously been relegated to the realm of science fiction. Meanwhile, in the command center of the facility, Admiral Soren coordinated with military strategists to develop potential defense strategies. They knew that brute force was not an option. Instead, they would need to rely on stealth, cunning, and perhaps even diplomacy if they could find a way to communicate with whatever intelligence controlled the vessel. As the days turned into weeks, the task force made slow but steady progress. Dr. Voss and her team uncovered hints of the technology behind the vessel's phasing abilities, theorizing that it utilized a form of quantum tunneling that allowed it to bypass physical space entirely. However, replicating or countering this technology was another matter entirely. Admiral Soren focused on contingency plans, preparing for the worst-case scenario. He ordered the construction of hidden deep space outposts equipped with experimental technology, an attempt to create safe zones that the vessel might not be able to detect, protect, or penetrate. But even as they worked, a sense of urgency hung over them like a storm cloud. And then, without warning, the vessel returned. It appeared at the edge of the Eyes system, once again moving with its characteristic ethereal grace. The Galactic Union scrambled into action, activating every